that was weird. It automatically started, but hey, Cancer, let's do it. Let's make it happen, Captain. Okay. It's all good. It's all good. I had a little snag there. I don't know. Maybe you're feeling irritable. Cancers are notorious for being moody. I have a Cancer moon, so, you know, sometimes that happens. Big deal. And you guys are loyal to a fault, right? You can be loyal to a fault, right? You can be loyal to an idea that doesn't serve you. But we're leaving that crap behind. Let's talk about what's coming in for the new year, right? We're talking transformation. We're going to do 6 here. Getting the Empress and the 9 of Pentacles, right? So a lot of feminine energy, really delving into self-care, receiving. Queen of Pentacles. You could be dealing with an earth sign, right? With the Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles, the Empress could be a Taurus. Maybe you have a Taurus placement. Hey, hey, homie. So let's see. But either way, Tauruses are all about, and that Queen of Pentacles, that 9 of Pentacles, that Virgo energy. It's all about going within. You're in that very feminine energy of just kind of waiting to receive. You're not in any rush. You're not rushing yourself. You have a lot of grace for yourself. What's going on here? Okay, let's do this. That's good. There we go. Well, peeking over my shoulder, like the angel on my shoulder. So you could have people in your ear, but we're only listening to the angel, right? We're not listening to, not today, Satan, right? Away with you. I hope you guys can hear me, okay? I've got the heater on because the temperature dropped. It's 12 degrees colder than it was yesterday, or the night before last. So I was in my sleep system, and so it was like this area of my face was really cold, but the rest of me was very warm, so getting out of bed was not fun. So I don't know, maybe you hate the cold. I don't like the cold. I don't like Florida cold. It's wet cold, right? Like Twilight, where Bella says, any cold, wet thing, I don't like it, you know? That's me. That was me this morning. I'm like, I was very Blinky and Bella-y. Is this whole deck upside down? Yeah, okay. Because the Ace of Wands came out upside down. And then we got the Page of Wands upside down. So yeah, there could be a choice here of what's going to be the new path. Now with wands, that can be magic, that can be passion, that can be something on the internet, could be work related, right? Wands are associated with a lot of things, right? Because our passion is tethered or is woven into everything that we do. So let's try that again. Remix, bring it back. Ace of Wands. Maybe you're gonna do something with music or like a DJ or something. All right, so we have the star at the center here. So that's like Aquarius energy, wish fulfillment. Could be something with Aquarius season, right? With this Ace of Wands, something that you're going to be launching very soon, right? Because we're already like coming up on it, you know. We're already in January. We're already in the new year, all right? We're already here. Because these are New Year readings, but I've been, I don't want to say dealing with stuff like, oh, I'm dealing with stuff. Like I've had stuff going on that's going to be moving me forward. And maybe February, right? Maybe Aquarius season. Because we have the 3 of Pentacles and the 8 of Cups. The 8 of Cups is someone who leaves behind anything that does not emotionally satisfy. that has no depth to it, right? You're moving forward into something that has depth, that is balanced, that satiates you, right? I don't know if I finished my thought earlier about the my statement or whatever I was going to say about Taurus. But with the Three of Pentacles here, that Nine of Pentacles, the Empress, and all of that, because we have the Six of Pentacles as well. So there's a lot of Pentacle world stuff, a lot of Earth stuff. So let's speak on Earth stuff, and I'm going to speak from my Earth placement, which is Taurus. Oh, my nose is going crazy. This is going to be very specific for somebody, I'm guessing. But the Three of Pentacles it's balancing your health, your wealth, your happiness, live, laugh, love, your holy trinity, me, myself, and I, body, mind, and spirit. It's all the things that represent themselves in your earth reality, but because I was like, this is not satiating, right? You're leaving something that's not satiating. Maybe you're going to be leaving behind an old diet, right? We're in Veganuary, so, you know, come over to the dark side, non-vegans. You guys will like it over here, I promise. But maybe you're changing your diet, right? Maybe you're cleaning that up or something. Something about hydrating more, juicing. 8 is also like the number of fasting cycles. That's like the typical number that people aim for with fasting cycles. You can be doing intermittent fasting, or incorporating things to kind of cleanse your blood, right? To cleanse your body of water, because this is like your body, mind, and spirit, me, myself, and I. But I feel like this is the more physical, tangible stuff, which means you're listening to your senses, right? This is where Taurus comes in. Taurus is the most sensual of the zodiac. They are ruled by their senses, right? Which is something that if they listen to and they govern, right, it's beneficial, right? Because you can listen to the things that are blocking your 5 senses, because what's blocking your 5 senses will block your 6th sense with the star. It will block the crown and above. It will block any ethereal channeling, source messages, downloads, uploads, whatever you want to call them. Your hook, your connector, you're like, and with the Ace of Wands, it's like that. Your cord, there's like, you ever go to plug in your phone, and maybe this happened to you, but it's like, there's moisture. With the moist that you're talking about, that I was talking about, you know, there's moisture, debris in your charging port, right? You gotta like clean out your charging port. Your charging port is your crown chakra, right? When you're talking about the star and source. But with your pentacles, that's the root, right? That's earth. Pentacles are earth. So that's getting down to the root. So that's like clearing everything from ground to crown. And the ground, the root chakra is Saturn, it's the devil, it's attachments, it's the lowest point of the ego. And that doesn't mean it's the lowest, like it's the worst, but it is the greatest challenge, because that means that there are things that we are in the physical world still attached to, right? We're maybe allowing one of those 5 senses to govern us. So maybe the way something, we're changing our idea of what is satiating, right? Maybe you were satiated by things like substances, or foods that you were eating, or people that you were talking to, or thoughts that you were having, right? They were just cycles that you were in. So you're breaking free from that cycle, and you're saying, nah, because 8 is a number of cycles, right? It's that infinity loop, right? You could have a Leo placement, could have with the Magician, you could have a Virgo or Gemini placement, right? But that's Mercurius. That's your speaking your truth is the key, which is the throat chakra, which is also Taurus, right? It's the Magician, it's the divine alchemist, right? So it's like you're alchemizing. You could be getting into like, again with juicing, but you could be getting into like an apothecary, or, you know, sprouts, things with the earth. You could be doing things like getting into herbs, essential oils, natural medicines, tinctures, things like that, to kind of cleanse your divine palette, right? Your chakra system. right? Your system, uploads, downloads with the wands. Like, again, you could be doing something online, and so it's like you're kind of viewing yourself as a system that is very similar to, maybe you believe that we are in like a simulation, right? Very much like the Matrix. Keanu Reeves is a Virgo, so you could be dealing with a Virgo. That's also, Virgo is, Mercury rules the throat chakra, which is, Mercury is the magician, that's Gemini, that's Virgo. But Virgo in the body, in the physical, rules the gut, like the diaphragm and the gut area, right? So it's like, also like heating up of the gut, right? Maybe you're going to be figuring out what your, is it your dosha, what your dietary, your specific dietary, like in Ayurvedic medicine, right? You're going to be maybe looking into that and figuring out that you should be eating things that are warming, right? So you're like nurturing the five senses, but you're also challenging them by igniting some sort of like activating, because Virgo with that 9 of Pentacles, oh, it's I didn't know if that was a vulture. It's a big ass raven, which is Libra. The Native American zodiac for Libra is the raven or the crow. But anyway, there's something like, I mean, we're in winter right now. I think of like the winter solstice and that time. Again, maybe you hate the cold, right? So you're like ready to warm it up. So you could be consuming things in your diet that are warming. You could be consuming things through what you see, what you listen to, like through your five senses, things that are igniting, right? The Ace of Wands is inspiring, it's inspiration, right? It's inspiring some sort of creativity. And this is some kind of beetle, right? It's the like rhinoceros beetle. The rhinoceros beetle like charges forward, or the rhinoceros does. The beat. It sounded like a DJ. I don't know, maybe you make music. But it is like a remix. You're doing some sort of remix. You're alchemizing. It's the magician. Let's see. It's the garbage man. I'm glad to know that I'm protected from the garbage man taking my garbage I put on the curb. Anyway, the dogs were barking all last night. And dogs are very much something that I at least associate with Cancer because of their false loyalty. And I don't want to say that it's false loyalty, right? Because that gives like a pejorative context to being loyal. Like if you're loyal to anything, then it means that you're stupid or foolish, which I don't agree with, of course. I think that loyalty is very important, but the loyalty has to be to yourself first, right? And she said these butterfly wings. See, it's like the elephant ears back there. So maybe butterflies, maybe elephants, maybe wings are going to be sort of signs. But this is someone, see, for like an Ace of Wands, she's got this little bean pod. She's got all this like, I was going to say cornucopia, but like there's a lot of green here, a lot of foliage, these trees from her crown, right? Because wands are wood, so it's like earth is the most distinctly feminine element, and fire is the most distinctly masculine feminine element. That's like a stutter, man. But it's like you're figuring out how to nurture your five senses, but also challenge them by moving, right? And with the ground and the crown, that is maybe through like Sagittarius and Capricorn season, the end of last year, you were doing a lot of work on this. And I feel like this time of year right now is like, all right, I figured out how to balance my most masculine elements, like the magician does, right, with my ability to create, which is feminine, right? Which is why the divine union is so important for our divine path and our divine purpose and for the collective, because that is the Holy Trinity. The divine masculine, the divine feminine, the divine creation. It's the marriage of the masculine and the feminine. Now we all have masculine and feminine within us. So we learn, same ingredients, different recipes, we learn how to alchemize and create and transmute and do all of the elementalist work. Maybe you're a life path 4. We have 3, 8. We've got the blockage over here, and we have the 6. So maybe those are something to do with your life path. Like you're realizing you could have been doing a lot of that hermit work with that 9 of Pentacles to really listen to your body, right? You could have been getting into looking at a lot of spiritual resources, right? Like resourcing. I picture you like in a library, and that could be on your phone because it's a library there. Or maybe you really like books, right? There's a scene in Sex and the City in the movie where she's like, I love the smell of old books, and he's like, that's an oldie. You know, he smells it and he's like, yeah, like, so maybe people think, like, maybe you're kind of nerdy and you like to, you know, maybe you're more introverted, and so you're figuring out how to live in this very, like, forcibly false extroverted way, this world that we're in, but you're doing it in a way that serves your introversion, right? So maybe you love to read, so you're reading things on how to be, not necessarily be an extrovert, because you'll always be an introvert, but maybe you're like, I feel like you're figuring out everything about yourself, like your Myers-Briggs, your like maybe eating for your blood type, maybe your dosha. I think that's the right term. For some reason, saying it out loud, I've spoken about it a bunch, but for some reason saying it out loud doesn't sound like the right word. So, you know, maybe you're finding out like your love language, like you're reading up on yourself, you're studying yourself, because maybe you used to watch other people. You know, you could have watched specifically, what is it, like the, I keep getting Red Table Talk, but it's the Red, is it Red? All the like alpha, you know, like how to be an alpha. It's the Red Pill community. I needed my tea. This is orange spice tea. So, you know, this is very warming, and you know, it's very warming and nurturing to my senses. So it feels very like decadent and feminine, but it's a warming, it's a spiced tea, right? So there's something about warming it up, but warming yourself up and not looking for other people. This is, the Ace is finding that power within, finding your ability to charge yourself, inspire yourself, learn about yourself. Instead of learning about other people, maybe you put that false loyalty that I keep getting, maybe you put a lot of your self-worth, or you know, you outsource your information to tell you more about you, right? Whereas, and like tarot, maybe you went into tarot and maybe you're new to this whole world. So I'll just tell you, for those of you who don't know, or for those of you who've been watching it for years, maybe you practice it, maybe you have your own channel, right? But I'll just, as a reminder, tarot only tells you, like any form of divination, it only tells you what you already know about yourself. Okay, it tells you what you already know about your path, because we came into this incarnation with all the knowledge in our heart chakra, in our, and that's the center of our future, our intuition, our higher chakras, and our past, our ego, and our lower chakras. Our heart is the sun and the moon. That is the it's Leo and Cancer. It's the sun, it's the moon, it's the union of the celestial bodies that represent the divine masculine and divine feminine, the sun and the moon. They reflect each other. And the only thing that gets in the way, that blocks it, right, because we have this 5 of Swords, which is a blockage of communication, and I feel like this is communication with self, right, because we've got the number of cycles, we've got the Ace, which is self, we have the Empress, the 9, those are numbers, those are self, right? And then the Holy Trinity here. I mean, you could be collaborating with other people, but you're not going to collaborate with the right people. You're not going to come into union with the right people unless you've done this work on yourself, or you're doing this work on yourself, because like attracts like, right? So this is more about you, okay? And that's okay, Cancer. It can be about you. I feel like you've been giving a lot of energy to other people and putting a lot of stock in what other people think, what other people, other people's opinions, other people's processors. Maybe you're in IT or something, because I'm getting a lot of like computer lingo. Well, that's not my lingo. So, and maybe you like help other people with that. I was just thinking when I was, I don't know, like a teenager, 19, I moved back home to live with my dad and my stepmom, and even for like years afterward, if they had any issues with their computer, they would always call me. But the stuff that I was doing was very basic. Like when I look back on it now, I'm like, I really wasn't like a wizard or anything, but it was. So maybe it's like, maybe you are, depending on your age group, depending on like the generation that you come from, maybe you feel like a dinosaur in this new technology thing. So maybe that's something that you're studying up on. You're looking into how to expand your social presence, or to like get all the tools so that you can do the work that you want to do. And you could be adjusting the work that you've always done, or launching something completely new, completely foreign to you. But it could be, maybe you're making adjustments, like you're updating, you could have your own business, and you could be like updating your servers or the software or something like that. So it could just be something like that with your work, that you're updating things. But again, like with the matrix and the simulation kind of thing, if that's the belief system that you fall under, that you, I don't want to say fall under, like you just fell into it, but I don't know, maybe you did. Maybe along the way you kind of like picked it up and you were like, maybe you saw the Matrix and you were like, wow, that explains everything I've always thought to be true or felt to be true since I was a kid. You know, like, do you ever see a movie or hear a thing or hear a song and you're like, wow, this is a future memory. This is like, I knew this all along, because it's like tarot, it's like divination. And you guys know that I use movies as a form of divination. I always have. It's like, it just tells you, it's a nod from the universe. Like when you're on the right path, the universe sends you signals and signs that, yes, what you knew to be true before your heart chakra got all blocked up by all this bullshit, by people that you were giving your energy to, people that you were fighting with, people that you were trying to over-explain your value to, that you were trying to communicate with. It's like, it was blocked because you had never been empowered. Maybe as a child you weren't led, you weren't with this, you could have a parent, an absent parent, right? Or like even if they were there, they were neglectful. Like they didn't speak your love language. You weren't fulfilled. You were conditionally loved in some way, right? So your value went down, and therefore you never, like, this is swords. This is communication, right? And we can't speak our truth if we don't recognize our truth, right? You better recognize. So it's like you going within. Maybe you're like an 80s baby or something. I don't know. I keep getting this like break dance. Maybe it's my hood, because I'm cold. So yeah, like maybe you grew up. What is that? Save the Last Dance. I'm getting things like very cheesy rom-coms or romantic movies or whatever, but maybe that's something that you envisioned when you were very little, and when you saw it, you're like, even if it's Twilight, right? Like, to each their own. I watch it like a parody, and because frankly the music in Twilight is so fucking good. So I'll just listen to the soundtracks. Like the soundtracks put me in that mood. And I lived in Washington, right? Maybe you live over there, but like maybe you live somewhere where it's cold. But I'm getting like Save the Last Dance, like the Carhartt coats over the hoodies with like the Timberland boots. Like that was just very distinct style during that time, like the 90s or whatever. So maybe you're like an 80s baby and growing up in the 90s that was around you or something. Anyway, that's specific, but we'll move away from that. But it's like everything that you find, everything that you discover, everything that you unearth through this process of hermit mode, doing this Virgo work. If you have a Virgo placement, maybe, whatever. But the hermit mode in Virgo and going within and doing that self-inventory is the first major step in the shadow working process. And you carry it through the shadow working process. It's not like you do it, check, next boss, check, next boss, and you're like done with that. It's like, it's more like you beat that boss, and then at the next level you have to fight 2 bosses, right? And the next level you have to fight 3 bosses, right? The further along that you get on this divine path, it doesn't get easier, right? It doesn't get easier. You just become stronger. You just become more equipped. You have more tools in your bag. That's what the magician work is. And that's what shadow work is. It's to discover and unearth the tools that were always there, that somebody told you in one way or another, whether they did it inadvertently or advertently, like covertly. I'm getting like maybe you had a narcissistic parent, which a lot of cycle breakers do, and a lot of cycle breakers gravitate towards this channel because that's what we're here to do, is like break that cycle. But breaking the cycle is like a bone that wasn't healed right? Maybe you had some kind of accident and you actually have a bone that had to be reset. But so maybe that like really makes sense to you. But but it's like when we break a cycle, we're not breaking it so that it's away from us and we never have to, there's no like, you don't cut the cord and break the cycle so that it's like, it's separate from you. You're breaking it so that you can reset it, right? And let it heal. Inevitably what you're doing is healing the cycle, but it has to be broken. The work has to go into it. A lot of masculine work has to be done, right? But in a feminine placement of being in the Virgo state, of doing the work internally. And through that, you transmute it, right? It's a balance of the masculine and feminine. I feel like you've really either got this down or you're just realizing this about yourself. You're like, man, I did through Sagittarius season. I did a lot of like crown chakra work, which is Jupiter, which is the crown chakra. That's Sagittarius. That's temperance. That is challenging your ego, challenging those 5 senses, your lower 3 chakras, right? It's all of that lower vibrational stuff. But just because you ascend from that does not mean that your ego is dead, right? When you go through ego deaths, you don't eliminate the ego completely, right? It's not like the ego's dead, bye, rest in peace, and then you like move away from the graveyard. It's you visit that grave, right? And so maybe there's a big attachment to, the ego and the physical is masculine, so maybe there's something with the father, because I see you like visiting a grave, and so maybe one of the signs that I've mentioned, the numbers that I've mentioned, maybe there's something in there where it's like you had and maybe you're raised by a single parent, whether it was the male or female, whether it was your dad or your mom or a grandparent or a foster parent, right, whatever. But maybe it was a single parent that you witnessed them struggling to balance the masculine and feminine. And so it's like, now that you realize your power, right? This is realizing your power from within with the ace. Once you realize like, oh, there's actually, maybe they didn't do it right. Maybe you blamed them for a while. Maybe you were very angry. Maybe you were like an angry teenager. Like you had you know, with the moodiness, there was maybe frustrations because you were like, you're not doing it right, right? Or something like that, where there's like this frustration, like maybe you saw the beauty or the strength in this parent and they didn't see it themselves, and that's that kind of like false loyalty. So it's not necessarily that they were bad or toxic, it's just that they didn't self-realize. They weren't given the tools. That's why they passed the tools down to you. That's why we carry everything, right, from our past cycle. It's not, we don't want to eliminate the cycle. And maybe you did like run away from home, or you were like had like a rejection. Maybe you rejected your family, or you were embarrassed by where you came from, or something. Like there was some sort of desire to separate yourself from everything that once was. But everything that once was is making what will be, right? Which is you, which is if you have children, or you whatever you create, right? It could be an actual child, or it could be a space that you create for others to heal, right? And this little bean, it's funny, one of my dogs is a Gemini. You can be on the Gemini with that mercurial work, with the throat chakra, like, and Geminis are typically like the first one in a room. If you go to like a house party, they're gonna come up to you and shake your hand, or say like, hey, my name is Ticka Slim Shady, and he is a Gemini as well. I'm pretty sure. And I just saw a thing about him comforting a girl. But anyway, my dog Nell, Penelope, maybe something with that name. Nell is also Jodie Foster, a movie with Jodie Foster, which is, you know, very sheltered girl. I don't want to spoil anything if you decide to watch that, but that is an old movie. But yeah, I love Jodie Foster, so that's a great movie, and that's why I named my dog Nell. But anyway, she was in here stretching out, and I call her Nelly Bean or whatever. So maybe something with beans. Also like legumes, if you're changing your diet, and if you are going to try out some veganuary, right? You're gonna try it out. Beans might be very important for you to get your vitamins and proteins, right? It's a big concern for people. I'm doing my vegan journey video next. So we have, again, the Nine of Pentacles, the Fool. And see, there's that like falling into it. I do feel like maybe you just submitted to the process and you did fall into a lot of this information in a very strange, the Lord works in mysterious ways, right? So whatever you believe about source, whatever nomenclature you attribute to whatever that is, whatever the thing is that connects us. I think I just spit everywhere. But the Fool is trusting that process, trusting that you have all the information. And again, with that like running away from home, I do get that like, I'm leaving. So maybe you're applying the sort of like reckless abandon that you had as a, because wands are all about passion, right? And passion and anger are universal, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, you don't want to be angry. Angry is bad. Let go of that anger. Forget. It's like anger is essential for growth and for making change, right? Because it tells you, if you feel angry, if you're listening to your five senses and you're not letting them govern you, and you're not becoming like emotionally reactive and outwardly abusive or like lashing out, anger tells you where change needs to happen. So it's like you're listening to that drive. You're listening to your very, maybe initial drives you had. Maybe you were like, something needs to change. Yes, something needs to change. Yeah, maybe you came from a broken home. It's time to reset it, right? And we have the Six of Pentacles, which is collaboration. It's community. It's giving back, right? So maybe you dealt with addiction. Maybe you dealt with some kind of substance or some sort of reckless behavior. But now you've realized, you know, and maybe that's something that you wanted to forget. Like you didn't want anyone new to know your past or whatever. But your past made you who you are, and your past is going to help others self-realize and break their own cycles and heal their own cycles. But you don't leave it behind. You take it with you. You take it with you. But you don't have to take all of it with you, right? That's like the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands, this is that clean slate, right? The 0. And then we have the Ace of Wands, right? Could be dealing with an Aries, could have an Aries parent, right? And so it's like maybe you were like, oh, you guys are supposed to be the leader here. You're the parent, you're the guardian. Like maybe you had a very childish, immature, maybe your parent dealt with addiction or whatever. Or again, maybe you had an absentee parent. And it was just like, you guys are supposed to be doing this. Like I shouldn't have to be. You could be the eldest or only child, right? But it's like, or like the only one, right? Maybe like the only boy, only girl. But it's like you realize like I shouldn't be the one fixing this. And actually with the Fool like being very childlike, you could be the youngest, right? But I feel like you had to grow up a lot faster than you should have, or should have, right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's what happened, right? And I think it did make you very angry, irritable, frustrated, like, I shouldn't have to do this. I should just be able to be a kid. I should just be able to play. That's the beauty of being an adult. You have the power to play, right? You have the right. You get to fight, yeah. For the right to party. You had to fight for your right. But now you have the right, the divine right. You've got the 9 of Pentacles here. You've healed this, and with this earth here, you've got earth everywhere. So whatever work that you've been doing is representing itself in your physical world. You've figured out a way to balance your masculine and your feminine. I feel like you had to remother yourself, refather yourself, reparent yourself. You had to be the parent, so you learned. You're like, oh, I have all these tools, which means I can be my own divine masculine, my own divine feminine, and my own divine creation. Now I can be a child. I can be playful, and I can show others that it's never too late to play. It's never too late to be a child, right? Because that's what life really is. We start out as children, but we have all this wisdom from the ethers with no control over it, right? With no power over it. We're completely vulnerable, and we're complete victims of our circumstance, because it is, our survival is based on our guardians, whomever they may be, or whomever they may not be. And so it's like, as we get older, we struggle through our adolescence and through our teenage and our young adult years of like looking back and being like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But then you get to a place where you're like, well, I am not what I could have been. I'm not what I should have been. I am that I am. That is God. That is a divine statement. So a lot of like affirmations. I am that I am. I am. That's now, right? The past and the future are just like, what is that movie where it says worry is a meditation on shit? I can't remember what that movie was. No, the more I try to think about it, the more it's going to just be like, bye. But yeah, there's a statement that a man makes in this movie, and it's like I feel like it's a self-revealing journey, like maybe a coming-of-age story where, but I think it's like a coming-of-age story for an adult, which I love those. Like Under the Tuscan Sun, Eat, Pray, Love, right? Wild. That's a beautiful film. But it's like the journey, the traveling. Maybe you travel now, so maybe you were like always like kind of reckless and doing all kinds of crazy things, but the experience that you got from it also taught you, like, you didn't worry when you were doing whatever you were doing then, right? Whether it was drugs, alcohol, adrenaline junkie stuff, right? If you like left the house as a child, maybe you literally ran away, like you were fearless in that sense, but it was out of anger. Like your anger is wands, it's passion. It tells you where the work needs to be done, where things need to change. And from that same place of like reckless abandon, of being a wild child, you realize, oh, I actually have the capacity to be fearless, right? I actually have the courage to do it anyway. And I don't need XYZ that I was engaging in to do it in a lower vibration, right? That was to make it easier. The divine path is not to make things easier. It's to make yourself stronger for the path. And you will be tested more, right? Because the devil likes to test those on the divine path. The closer you get to God, the closer the devil gets to you. And it's not that it gets easier. It's just that you get so much more resilient to, like, you're like, oh, there's the devil again. You know, it's not that you're numb to it or apathetic, which maybe you have struggled with bipolarity or depression, where you feel like the ennui or like deep depression, where there's just like apathy, like you're beyond the point of caring, and you can't even muster the energy to care, because you're all that anger and all that, which is hurt, and passion, it's like that burned you out. I think you like gave because you were giving it to others. But once you start to ignite your own torch and flame, and like I get a lot of hermit with this, a lot of Virgo energy, like you went within, to, you know, the hermit has that lantern. It's like you realize you were trying to help other people. You were trying to do the work for other people and show them, like, look, here's the light, can't you see? And then they were like, no, I can't. And so it's like you had to keep relighting it. I don't know, maybe you had a very strong maternal figure. I saw this thing recently on Instagram that was like a reel, or maybe it was I don't have TikTok, but maybe it was a TikTok reel that's on Instagram or something, because that's but anyway, it was a mother and a child, right, through their different phases, where the mother keeps lighting, like giving them the lighter, like lighting it and giving it to them, and then she gives them the candle that's lit, and it's really sweet. I think maybe I saved it. Maybe I'll share it in my story. If you want to hop over there and look at my story, you can. But yeah, it was like the mother like gave and gave and gave. So maybe you had like a very sacrificial mother, like an octopus. I'm getting an octopus with this 8 here, right? That there was like, you know, octopus moms, they die after they give birth. It's just so fucking sad. Oh my God, I cried in that documentary. I cried so hard. But there was maybe some, like you had a very sacrificial or like strong matriarch. So there, that goes back to that like single parent thing, where you saw them do it, and they did the best that they could with what they had, and they really helped you and believed in you and all of that. But I don't think that they you needed to see it represented to you. That's what children need to see. They need to see it. Because they're like, they come into this world and it's like, what the fuck? Like, they need to see a representation of what a healthy relationship looks like. And that's a healthy relationship, starting with the relationship with self. And I don't think that you really saw that. So, you know, maybe you had like a co-narcissistic parent or a very codependent parent. So it's not that they were bad or toxic necessarily to those around them, but it was a toxic cycle for themselves, because it was very draining and they never got that. So now you get to be the representation of that for your parents, whether they're alive, not with us, whether you speak to them or not. You're lighting the way for the ancestors, but you have to, it's like you had to come to a point where you go, oh, I've got the fuel source here. I've got the sun right here. So I can just keep lighting this candle for myself. When I blow my own candle out, because we do that sometimes through self-sabotage and through negative affirmations, right? We perpetuate that cycle of low self-worth that was instilled in us. And so we'll blow our own candle out. And so it's like our own lantern out. So it's like, you're like, oh, first of all, let me shut the doors on this. Shut the doors and like keep this flame safe. Because with the wind, a blockage can be too much communication. It can be over communication. It can be too many other opinions, too much external stuff, right? So I feel like you've learned to communicate with yourself and balance like the magician, balance the wind, balance the fire, balance the earth. You've really got balance with the earth here because we've got 9, 3, and 6, right? 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, right? My dogs are being crazy. We have the 7 of Wands. So this is like that, like, could be fighting your own self-worth, but I feel like this is you, like I was saying, like beating the bosses every time. And the bosses are internal. The low self-worth, the doubt, the self-sabotage, the devil and God are both within, right? The lack of clarity that comes with the moon, the glaring clarity that comes with the sun, whether you think that the sun is divine and the moon is more, right? Because the devil is the ego. The devil is attachments. The devil is it's more like of the feminine. So leave it. Thank you. Dramatic. 7, maybe, I mean, 7, from Friends, where Monica's talking about self-pleasuring or pleasing someone else, Chandler pleasing his girlfriend. But this, right, and with wands, that could be sexual energy, right? Maybe you were promiscuous or giving your sexual energy. Sexual energy is our sacral chakra, which is our creative energy, right? So it's like realizing I can do it myself. Anything you can do, I can do better. But not in a competitive way. It's just like, I'm just going to do it myself. Dagnabbit. This could be a hyper independence. So you could struggle with asking for help. But this is like the fighting the bosses. This is like building your resilience. But 7 can be about running away from, right? Trying to guard from. So 6 of Wands, that they're fighting off with that wand there. 6 of Wands is about self-recognition. And so since you have the block here with communication, and my throat chakra is acting like a little bitch right now, your affirmations, I feel like the way that you spoke about yourself, your self-recognition, your self-love, that's where you struggle the most with. So you might struggle with words of affirmation from others, right? Where like if other people give you a compliment, you might really have a hard time with that, of believing that it's true. So those are the only challenges that I see here. Everything else is like taking a leap of faith towards your wish fulfillment, like the thing that you wished upon, the divine dream with the star here. This is pouring into the feminine, the earth, the water, and it all goes back, right? Because then they're going to scoop that water. It's sustainable light source, right? You are a sustainable light source. And also star with death and rebirth. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Never let it fade away. What is that from? I mean, I know it's like a song, but it's from a movie where the kids are they're doing a play. We have the moon here, which is you. But see, they're like doing a play. And again, it's like you've had to fight for your right to party. It's time to play, Cancer. We got the sun and Judgment. Yeah, if you have like something you need vindication for, or you felt like you needed vindication for, or revenge for, right? With that anger, you might have felt vengeful, or you need to see other people that have wronged you suffer. Maybe you struggle with that, and being like competitive, right? Your cardinal energy, maybe your masculine energy, which comes from the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. This is the Judgment here. Maybe you came from a hyper-religious upbringing or something like that. But Judgment is like trusting in the process with the Fool here and letting giving it to God. Like, those who need to be judged will be judged. Trusting in karma, trusting that, yeah, they'll get what's coming to them. What's coming to you? Iago. Patience, Iago. Patience. Azim was obviously less than worthy. So yeah, maybe an ex that you dealt with. Like when our parents are fucked up, we are attracted to fucked up. And we perpetuate that cycle in our love life. That's the cycle that we work to break. If you saw like this overgiving mother, right? It could be a father, it could be vice versa. I'm just getting the mother here because the feminine is where all this healing is taking place. So I feel like you broke that cycle for them, for your maternal lineage. Right? It's like your mother did that because that's what her mother did, and that's what she was taught. She was taught so low self-worth, so she attracted somebody who was maybe your dad's not like the greatest person. Maybe they were kind of a player. Maybe they were a liar, a cheat, a thief, an addict, whatever. Like, that's what your mother felt that she deserved, right? And that's very specific. But I knew this was going to be specific anyway. So, so the moon, there's the music, the dancing, right? I feel like you're going to just be very playful. And this is like, I got no strings to hold me down, even though they have strings, but the strings are to the moon, and the moon is self. So it's like they are connected. You're able to play because you're finally connected with yourself, and you were always longing for that connection with others. The fact that you couldn't get it made you angry, made you just reject maybe people in general. Maybe you've been single for a long time, or you were single for a long time, and now you're finally to the place now where it's like, right, and because you had compassion for your mother, maybe you didn't realize, if that's your story, maybe you didn't realize that, like, you actually had anger towards her, because you were maybe very helpful and compassionate and, like, had to grow up and kind of, like, take care of her, because maybe, I mean, when you're in that cycle, it affects you physically, so she may have struggled with some kind of illness, mental illness. Maybe you witnessed bipolarity, depression. Maybe that was from her. You inherited that from her. So that, because you are the cycle breaker, that's the choice you made at this incarnation, is to break the cycle, is to heal the cycle, is to be that one that changes things for your ancestors. You've gotten the tools through other lifetimes, and however you view lifetimes, whether you view them as like you were plopped in different lifetimes, if it's different phases in this incarnation, or if you believe that, well, regardless of what you believe, we inherit genetically. It's like, it's scientifically proven that we inherit things from our family. So if that's genetic that we can see it, just imagine what we're inheriting energetically and emotionally and all of that. Spiritually, we're inheriting that. Inheriting. Is that right? I feel like there's missing a syllable there. Anyway, so we have the sun here, which is like, we have the star and the sun. Maybe you have a Leo placement, you got Aquarius, but Aquarius and Leo are both fixed signs. So it's like, you're taking, again, I love this card for you, the Ace of Wands, with this depiction, because it's like you're taking your cardinal modality, which is fire, and you're bringing it into a fixed energy, which is earth. It's like you've just come full circle and you've realized, oh, okay, maybe you were very angry at your father because of witnessing your mother being like left behind, but realizing that the Holy Trinity here, it's both parties. Like, both parties are responsible. And realizing that maybe you realized that about yourself first, and that made you realize, like, oh, I was actually mad at my mom too. I was actually angry with both of them, which means like maybe you took sides, like maybe you were very polarized in the growing up, like you had a very distinct idea of like someone was right and someone was wrong, and then as you grew up and you've done this shadow work and you realize like maybe you blamed your exes or whatever, you blamed everyone around you, you put too much power in the hands of other people to determine how you felt or whatever. And that could be people, substances, right? With that like full energy that I was getting of like the reckless abandon. It's kind of like you weren't accountable for the role that you played in it. And once you take that accountability, that's where the power is. That's when you realize like, oh, I've been blowing out my damn candle, my lantern this whole time. It's me. I am the problem, therefore I am the solution. And once you realize that, I think that you were like, oh, that's why. That was maybe the blockage in communication. Where you were like, I was right, they were wrong. Mom was right, dad was wrong. Or dad was right, mom was wrong, right? It was like, there is no right or wrong. It's all relative, right? And so it's like realizing that discernment of, oh, this is just not right for me, right? And you know, that probably changed a lot of how you view love. Although I don't get I see you walking away from love, conditional love, but I still feel like there's a little bit of guarded tendency towards new love. Maybe because you finally have got your balance, right? And there could be nerves about somebody coming in and like messing with my balance. I've got my 9 of Pentacles, like I can take care of myself, I can pay my bills. Any other time that I've gotten involved with somebody or given other people my power, like, because you do, it's an exchange of power though, but because you've only dealt with conditional people, you're always giving power away and never receiving any back. But like that charging port with the debris, once you clear that debris out, if you're the cell phone, right, in this metaphor, then the charging port can actually plug in, right? So it's realizing your self-worth, realizing the accountability of, oh, I got to clean up my own charging port. Like if I'm blocked, then it doesn't matter who I connect with or try to connect with, they're never going to be able to fill me up. I have to make sure that I am a pure channel. Like my chakras are clean, my system is clean, that I'm pure, that I'm not relying on somebody else to just like do the work for me, right? Like you're like jamming the cord in there, like maybe I can make it work, no, like you both have a responsibility to make this work. And it's really like realizing like, oh, I have the debris in me, so I have to clear the debris out, and then I'll be able to receive energy from others, right? But this is like solar power. Realizing that you're actually solar powered. I mean, we all are as beings. We're electromagnetic beings. So it's electro, the sun, which is this is the primary fire. This is the most distinct masculine. And then the earth, right? But the feminine, there was some sort of misconception about the feminine because with the sun and the moon being the divine union, the earth is in between them. The earth is in between the sun and the moon until there's an eclipse, right? Eclipses are the only time where that like where it's a lunar eclipse, right? Because then the earth moves out of the way. So the moon has to come. We have the sun and the moon. So your person's coming in like 5 of Swords, King of Swords. Maybe you were blocked. We have the Chariot and the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups, circling back around, the Empress and the King of Cups. There's that Empress. I don't want this to go too much longer because it's already a very lengthy one. But that's interesting. The Empress could be dealing with a Libra, Taurus. The Chariot here is somebody who's charging forward with the heart space. King of Swords is somebody who's coming in direct, right? Because this is miscommunication, blocked communication. blocked communication with self. Yeah, maybe you interacted with somebody, but you weren't ready to receive their love because you still had debris in your charging port. So you had to clear that shit out. And clear your own communication with self. And do your own like diagnostics, self-diagnostics test. Before you could be charged by anybody else. Which is good. I mean, that's very twin flamey, right? That's not trying to make it work, right? You're trusting in the divine timing. You're trusting that I still have work to do, and I have work to do. Like attracts like. We both have work to do, right? No one's right or wrong. It's not that one person's better than the other. There's no competition. It's our frequency is. We're twin flames. Our frequency is almost there. We just have to balance a couple more things out. And the imbalance is in the swords. And this guarded energy of moving forward or accepting affirmations, accepting like self-recognition, accepting our power, right? You can feel that power and feel great alone, but once somebody else comes into it, especially your twin flame will trigger your ego, right? I feel like you dealt with a lot of people that triggered your spirit, that's the devil. That's a test. The divine makes you stronger, right? To the devil's interference, to these doubts, to fears, to secular, lower vibrational behaviors, thoughts, connections, and all of that. So we have the King of Cups. So if you're the masculine, or the Knight of Cups and the King of Cups, the Knight of Cups fights for the Kingdom of Cups. The Knights fight for their kingdom, right? This guy is fighting with love, killing with kindness. And the Chariot here, it's like somebody is charging in. There could be, not even like an apology. I don't think that anybody did anything wrong here. Just feel like there was a miscommunication or something about timing. Right? And jokes, humor, which humor is divine. Humor and comedy, the divine comedy, right? It's like not taking ourselves so seriously. Maybe somebody was still taking themselves too seriously because they were in the very masculine work. And so it's like they weren't in a very feminine place. Oh, there's a huge hawk. Again, Aries energy, angelic guidance. Maybe you're going to see or hear a hawk. Maybe something with birds. I just had a dream about a blue bird last night that birthed a little baby hawk. And there were like owls and these little... Anyway. I'm not gonna... that was for my path, but I was going to say maybe something because of my Cancer placement. Maybe that resonates. Maybe birds are very... maybe one of your parents has passed. Maybe you... get like nods of confirmation from the universe that they're watching over you, that they are supporting you, right? Because now that they're out of their physical body, whomever passes, they're just in their purest form. They're just in a spirit, right? They're not going to manipulate you anymore. They're not going to try and control you anymore because they're free from the ego. That's the only time that we are free from the ego is when we die. That's it. Like the end of that. And then we get cycled back into it if we had that work to do in that ego, in our terrestrial form. Then we come back. But in the meantime, while we're just out there, and usually when a cycle breaker takes place, right, when the torch is passed to a cycle breaker, it's like the other ancestors can go, okay, I was not fixing this. Like I've been here a couple times and I haven't done shit about it. I keep fucking it up. I'm just gonna, I, as a spiritual being, back in my celestial plane, I'm just going to let you do the work because you have the tools. We did everything we could. You have the tools, Mulan. Like, honor the family, right? But it's all divine timing, right? Twin flame journey. You trigger the ego. You both go separate ways. Work on that shit, and then you come back together, and in divine timing, that's the only time that twin flames come into divine union. All divine unions are twin flames, but not all twin flames come into divine union, even if they are together. because that's forcing that charging port into a dirty, or forcing that charger into a dirty charging port, right? You guys have to unblock yourselves and clear yourselves and make sure that you're not all bent and crazy, and, you know, tape up any loose wires before you start trying to like fill anybody else up. So take those metaphors however you will. Hopefully there was something in here, signs, synchronicities, confirmations, something that resonated that will help you on your path. In this Empress again, god damn. So where's the Emperor? I think it's this Two of Wands. Coming in. Ace of Pentacles, we got Six of Pentacles. The Devil, King of Pentacles. The Lovers. There may be an apology. You know, maybe just an explanation or some sort of like clarification that you're going to receive from the masculine, because we have the King with the Knight and the Page. That's the masculine, and energetically speaking, masculine always pursues, right? So if the feminine is pursuing, you're not in your right energy. All right, 10606. I'll take it. Again, thank you for watching, and yeah, until next time, I wish you well.